Greetings and bienvenue, midnight crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Girlfriend's house. Her family's only just moved into the place. Boxes everywhere, that just moved in feel. Talking to family at dinner table. Hey, what's with the wiring on the table? Dad has spent the last week pulling wiring out from around the walls in the house. Goes on to explain how he found brackets suitable for cameras. All of this apparently concentrated around the spare bedroom at the back of the house, near the garage. Mother explains that previous owners were Mormons? This is all strange, but okay. Time goes on. Panicked texts from girlfriend in the middle of the night. Shadow standing in the hallway. Ask her about it next day, she says it's fine. Acting strangely, though, not as energetic. Getting a little freaked out by all this. Time goes on. Her family finally unpacks all their stuff, goes to dump the excess in the spare room. Her family, apparently, goes into closet. Finds chains and shit stashed away. Only the beginning of it all. Mother tries to search for history on the house, previous owners, etc. No outstanding results. Mormon community nearby. Ask them about it, they keep records like you wouldn't believe. Previous owners were apparently outcasts. Not actually excommunicated, just the weirdos of the community. The house is quite some distance away, so understandable. Meanwhile, girlfriend is talking about this shadow still wandering around the house, mainly in the end where the spare bedroom is. It starts going into her room, rustling stuff around in the night. Random scratches and marks start appearing on her. She has no idea what's going on. I start to engage macho mode, want to save the damsel, etc. Start looking online, but still don't think it's a huge issue, so commitment to the search fades. Staying at girlfriend's house one night. Dad is old-fashioned as fuck. End up bunking in the spare bed in the spare bedroom. Wake up in the middle of the night. Shadow standing out by the closet. Oh god. JPEG growling, rustling coming from the thing. All of a sudden that night vision you get when your eyes adjust to a dark room disappears. Everything is pitch black. All I hear is this deep growling. Can't move. This goes on for a time, then suddenly everything stops. Rush out of room, sleep on couch in the lounge that night. From then on, do shitloads of research. Find shamanic method that might help the situation. Place it on girlfriend's room. Shadow never enters the place again, only able to stand at the doorway looking in. Go to walk out of the room one day, look up. It's standing right there, staring at me. Literally staring down a shadow person not a foot away from me. That low growling sound again. And when I saw low growling, it sounded like the sound of a bull with the same vibration quality of a subwoofer. Start asking her parents about this shadow thing. Apparently her little brother has been heard talking to the thing. Little brother starts acting up, heightened aggression. Has a go at me for no reason one day. That low growling noise, but no sign of the shadow. Starting to see that this thing must really be hating on me. Can't think of much else to do. Time goes by. Staying at girlfriend's for the night. In the games room, next to her brother's room. Low growling noise. Decide to stay up the night. Crashing in girlfriend's room down the hall. Rush in there. It's standing over her bed. Look up at me, that low growling. I rush forward, not 100% sure what I'm going to do. But what I know of spirituality tells me that confidence is the best thing to have. It disappears. Girlfriend wakes up. I stay vigil by her bed. Disturbed as fuck that it somehow got into her room again. Is it getting stronger? Little brother being influenced? Questions plague me for the night. Sleep all the next day. A little about myself. Family is somewhat spiritual. From a young age been raised around notions and ideas relating to the practicalities of spirituality. Shamanic style stuff. Have some previous knowledge of spiritual stuff. so what is happening here isn't entirely new to me, but still upsetting. Anyway, over a few months, shadow keeps showing up, making itself known, similar to stuff I've already described. One time, girlfriend and I sitting in their office. She starts taking pictures. Shadow standing outside the doorway in the hallway, against the wall. Pictures all on girlfriend's computer, if they haven't been deleted. It strikes me that it only enters the spare room, the hallway, and her room. Time passes. Dad does late security work, sleeps in the spare room sometimes so as not to wake up mother. One times walks into lounge to have breakfast. Starts talking about having random dreams about something attacking him. More time goes on. Become familiar with the presence of this shadow. Still haven't learned anything more about how it came to be, what it wants, etc. Leaving girlfriend's place one night. Every time I go near the area next the garage, where the carport and shed are, I feel as if I'm being watched. Think nothing of it until now. Except this time the shadow is just standing there under the carport. It just seems to keep staring at me. I go home, try ignore it. A month passes. Walking through the hallways in my girlfriend's place. Bend in the hallway that is never exposed to natural light, as no rooms are close enough to it. Shadow never goes past this point in the hallway. Walk through bend. Shadow rushes at me, become disorientated. Girlfriend warns me not to touch the walls. That night, back at my uni dorm. Wake up, shadow is standing by my window. Shit. So anyway, things around my dorm have been a bit weird. Felt the presence of the shadow a few times, weird noises and other such things going on. Nothing hugely major or disturbing, nothing like at my girlfriend's place. Her place itself seems to have calmed down a little bit, no huge incidents. Her brother's aggression has dropped, but from what I understand the random scratches still appear on her body. The last time I stayed there the shadow was still there, and in the middle of the night still messed with things in her room. I find it horribly difficult to get to sleep while I'm there, almost as if it's dangerous to go to sleep. Even when I do, it's never a comfortable sleep. The entire household seems to be on edge. Tense. As if everyone is always on the edge of having a shouting match. Could just be fucked family dynamics, but I don't know. Things at the dorm are weird, like I said. Strange noises, that low growling. I keep hearing things as well, like the sound of strong wind. I live in New Zealand, you see, and in the Maori culture that noise has particular sacred significance. If it's related to that, it's beyond something I'd feel comfortable dealing with. I've thought about looking into the previous residence. The strange objects found in that room, along with the surveillance setup, point me towards some really sick events having happened there, or that the previous residents encountered the same problem and were much more proactive than my girlfriend's family in monitoring it. Considering these people were Mormons, the fact that they were driven to dealing with the paranormal in such a practical manner does not sit well with me.
This is why I got into paranormal stuff. It all started at my grandma's house. Every room in that place was fucked up somehow. The attic? Yeah, that's where I had to sleep a lot when we visited her. We did a lot, unfortunately. Everyone who went up there alone would hear someone call their name. I would always hear my mom. Multiple times every night. Sometimes I would go down hoping really fucking hard it really was her calling, but it wasn't. Shit bricks and go back to bed was all that could be done. One time my brother locked me in the attic, and I broke a door down to get out. I was 6. Next room? Living room. The stairs from the attic came down here. It was a super old house. Although my brother gives a different account of this, it's the same story pretty much. Every night 3 blinking orbs would come downstairs from the attic. Never seen in the attic, they lived on the stairs. One was red, one yellow and one blue. The blue one seemed nice and would stay by the stairs. The red one just curious and would come down and follow you around some. The yellow was fucking demon mode. It would blink and move the fastest, and it caught me twice. Usually you could just walk past, and they could go fast enough to keep up. I could usually outwalk them, go to the kitchen. Yellow and sometimes blue would follow me in, but it'd finish what I was doing and dodge them on my way out. I bumped into Yellow one day, and this is what I saw. Everything went black and white. There seemed to be some lady in the room behind me. I could hear what sounded like thousands of screams, at a really low volume. I can't remember if she just looked at me or if she screamed at me as well. My mind might have added that part in. I fucking ran. Bricks were shat. That leads to the hallway. No matter where I went in the hallway, sometimes I'd look back and see our hero, Hatman. I wouldn't describe him as Hatman though, more as just a shadow of a person who would lean around the corner peeking at me, then dart back when I looked. I never connected him to Hatman. I thought it was all a part of the menace in the guest bedroom. This is all true, with multiple confirmations. It was in West Virginia. It was a demon shadow cat creature. Though small, this guy kindly enough terrorized my brother more than me. We had race car beds when we used to sleep in this room and a pile of stuffed animals. Shadow cat hung out in the animal pile, of course. One night my mom was tucking me in, and my brother was complaining about a cat. Mom didn't believe him because we never had cats. Then he screams and we look, and his arm is covered in blood. Demon cat bit him. I always saw some manner of demon creature lurking around the bed, and in the pile, but I never saw demon cat up close. It was probably one of the fiends that ventured from Grandma's room across the hall. She would sleep with a freaking axe by her bed because she would complain about seeing shadows under her bed moving the dust ruffle. They would scurry around all night. I was never in that room at night, but apparently it was creepy enough to cause her to buy an axe. Oh yeah, one more thing would happen in this house. The doors would lock randomly. Usually the bathroom door would lock in the middle of the night. Everyone would be in their beds when my brother and I investigated, but it was still locked for some reason. A few minutes later it would unlock. It was a super old house with old keyholes you could see through, but you couldn't see anything. And that's the end. Hope you were as entertained as I wasn't.
I always saw this one shadow person in my room while watching TV. He would just pace back and forth. I knew I should just ignore it, but one particular night I had brought my cat into the room and I didn't think anything of it. I turned on my TV like normal, had my cat sitting on my lap petting him, and then he started to hiss and his fur all stood up on his back. He scurried off my lap, digging his nails into my leg as he leapt off the bed towards the shadow. He started to jump at it about 3 feet into the air, not even coming close to being near the Shadowman's hip area. The shadow disappeared in a hurry. I thought, hey, they don't like cats now, he won't come back. So I kept my cat in my room. When I woke up, my cat was gone. I asked everyone in the house if they had let him out of the room and they said no. I was really upset and worried. Later that night, like always, I went into my room, sat down and turned my TV on. The Shadowman appeared, and behind him, walking slowly, was the shadow of a cat. I just hope he's as loved there as he was here.
When I was a little kid, I called him my not friend, because I felt he knew me as well as a friend but was definitely not any kind of friend. I'd have nightmares and some kind of bad guy would be in my nightmare, and suddenly, I'd have this fear. This very, very specific fear. Kind of like you recognize a stink, but it was a fear instead. And I'd be awake, but he would pounce on me and squeeze my chest and throat and prevent me from moving or waking up or screaming. And eventually I'd force a scream out and wake up screaming. He visited less and less as I got older. He visited once when I was in college. I was having a sexy time dream and following some random stranger back to her mysterious dorm room, and she locked me into a room and turned into her. And she pounced on me and tried to kill me, and turned back into my not friend. I reached up and tried to kill him. Woke up screaming. That was the last time I ever saw him for years and years. Got married and had a baby. One night I start to have a nightmare with the same very specific fear, and I looked out the window, and I saw him. My not friend. He was dressed in dirty tight jeans and a dirty jean jacket. He looked like a fucking tweaker. He grinned down at my baby, then glared at me. His hair covered his face, but I could still see the moonlight reflecting on his hair and teeth. He grinned at me and said,
"Hey daddy, daddy, daddy."
This time I didn't scream. I looked at him and said, "Motherfucker, you don't understand. That's my son. This shit is stronger than God. If you ever come here again, I'm going to chase you down, and I'm going to eat your fucking soul." He looked genuinely panicked. That was about 12 years ago. I just got the chills thinking about him. But I'm not scared of him anymore. I haven't really told anybody about this shit. I didn't even realize it was a psychological condition until a few years ago. I still have a hard time believing it's just that and only that.
One night I was out with two of my friends. It was around 10 p.m. and we were at the local park, which has a decent-sized hill overlooking the suburbs. We start to climb it, and as we near the top, I peer to my right and see a shadow, something darker than any shadow I saw, following alongside me. Keep in mind that there was no fence to cast this on. It was standing against the sky next to us. It turned to me and I felt coldness and dread and immediately started to run down the hill yelling, "Oh shit!" My friends followed and I told them what happened. I don't know if they believe me. Later that night, I looked up what it was on Google and found it is a shadow person. As opposed to Hat Man, this was rather a hooded figure that scared the shit out of me.
Happened not long ago, hanging out in my room. 11 p.m., woke up at 4 p.m., so I doubt this was caused by tiredness. Just sitting, door slightly ajar. Glance up from 4chan and a wavy shadowy person standing there. Shit bricks, scramble away from it. Door swings open and my cat rushes in at breakneck speed. Stops in the middle of the room casually and jumps onto my bed to sleep. Shadowy guy was gone by the time the door opened.
I used to see a shadow person in my room for a while. I've really only seen him once or twice, but the first time he stood in the doorway, looking at me, or I thought he was looking at me. He was dark, obviously, wearing a trench coat and bowler hat. Pretty much ignored that shit and went to bed, seeing as the light from the kitchen illuminated some of the hallway and made it a bit less creepy. Did pull the covers over my head and face the wall though. The second time I saw him was when I rearranged my room and he stood at the end of my bed near the closet. This time was creepier, and I can remember clutching the rosary under my pillow that my mom gave me. I thought the dog would go nuts with him there, but she must have been in one hell of a sleep not to get up and growl or bark like she's done in the past with certain things. Mostly she just follows shit around in the house with her eyes. Wasn't a pleasant experience in the least.
About a week ago, my cat woke me up at about 3 in the morning 'cause he's a shite and wanted to go out. So I get up, let him out, and he comes running back to the door with a tail so fat, ears back and so low to the ground. So I shut the door, thinking he's just being pathetic 'cause it was cold, walk into the kitchen and put a light on and look outside where the cat had been. Our back garden isn't big, it isn't even a garden. It's just a walkway from the back door to the gate, has about 5 large paving stones to get there. Anyway, I look at the gate and there's this guy stood there and he's staring right at me. I couldn't see anything but the outline of him. He was just this great big black, well, shadow. Anyway, I stood there watching for him for about 5 minutes and he just turned and walked away. Scared me to fuckery. Couldn't sleep after.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.